all of you will have the good, absolutely content from what we're going to do today for this particular topic, which is absolutely on the top of everybody's mind of having your cybersecurity and data protection. Before I jump onto the topic, thank you eminent speakers to be here today. Really eminent people and professional people are here. I understand that each one of you bring in a lot of wisdom, experience to our audience today. I would also want to have a last 5 minutes of question answers. I would not take any questions in between, specifically because we are running late on time today. Before we jump on to asking them questions, just wanted to have a brief briefing about what we heard in the morning today, specifically when it comes to government and what is happening specifically globally. India, as we all know, we have understood that it is in a cusp of becoming the largest economy. And that's the fact that nobody can change now. That is also fueled by what government of India is doing in terms of digitization, in terms of automation, and the way they want to have a cashless economy that we are progressing in the right manner, right? This also helps us to understand that looking at the number of population that we have, that we are reaching out to the grassroots level as we develop our economy and the country. Very importantly, we also have to see from a perspective of that while we are adopting technologies that we also saw people speaking about, I just want to reconfirm that we all have heard, sir, that people process technology as a terminology from over so many decades. Just for the audience thoughts and my own personal preview, what I believe now is that technology is coming in forefront, which is helping, or I would rather say, changing the processes that we used to do. And these processes are changing the behavior of people. So it's in reverse orders now. People process technology is now technology process and people, right? And that is very important for all of us to understand, because that is what is also leading to certain changes that we need to have, whether it's a cyber or a data that we are going to have, or managing those kind of stuff. Now, let's look at all the another news that we also saw in very recent last week, one week's time, that one of the largest developed countries in West, I'm sure I don't want to name the nation, but they clearly stated, the NSA of that country stated that we are 50:1 ratio when it comes to cyber offensive, what they call is cyber army with our neighbors. Okay, so whereas we all sitting here, there is a large force of cyber army which is sitting there to continuously hack or continuously attack various data that is available across in various applications, various data centers, or the usage of that what we are using on. Second point which also came in, that there are also very popularly known attackers which has very recently also announced on the world platform that we are targeting government, and specifically government of India or government as a country. They openly stated this. So it is a continuous attack that is already happening on us, and there is no looking back on it. Third area which came into that all of you have been reading about ChatGPT. Now, the other part of that ChatGPT is the generative AI, right? Which is also going to lead to a sophisticated attacks, and it will become more easier for attackers to use those things to attack and make it more sophisticated that you are not able to understand whether it is a real attack or a hypothetical attack which has been created. Third area, while we continuously say this, we've been listening to multiple challenges that India is seeing, including one of the largest healthcare centers in India sitting out of Delhi getting hijacked, right? So it is already happening. So there is nothing which we can avoid to look at. And finally, I am really happy to be here today since from last 8 years, I've been also a Deloitte partners managing multiple services for OCAC. And from that perspective, I can share the information that past 8 years, I have seen the progress that we started in this state, whether it was updation of your data centers, updation of your networks, as well as having one of the largest next generation security operating center which was built by OCAC. And so I believe this state has really created something which is kind of a benchmarking in a state where we all are today gathering. Looking at all these thoughts, sir, I would like to have first question to Manoj Kumar, sir. Sir, it has been superbly well-managed department that we've been working with, sir. And of course, OCAC is on forefront of doing so many things. Looking at that infrastructure that we have created, sir, just want to know here your thoughts on what more you're going to be doing when it comes to your data, which is specifically for your users, your citizen, as well as the industry in Odisha, sir.
Thanks for the compliments. Now we have the digital thing covering the society, the governance, and personal life. Cyber attack will definitely grow, and of late everybody's attention is going to that way, less to e-governance, more to digital security. So in Odisha, our data center is now secure through a CSOC that we call Cybersecurity Operations Center. That has started very recently, and it is monitoring all our applications, and all the application that is hosted in data center is monitored. Of course, these attacks are not neutralized, but we monitor the attacks and we inform the user departments about it. That is one part of it. Second is we have started aggressively awareness among public and also users of this, because we found we are least sensitive to cyber attack, because cyber attack as a disproportionate problem in future is not marked very clearly by us. So that we are creating among users, that while developing application, there should be protocol for security audit and all that we are ensuring. And also we have developed a protocol for application being hosted in our data center. That way we are protecting our data. And we are still devising new ways. We are in consultation with people like ESDS and many other in suggesting us the way forward for securing our data and all our digital infrastructures.
Superb. So, sort of follow-up question to Safin, sir. While, one side as a state is anyway looking to create a stronger base as a state to have a secure data center, of course, you add up to what is already happening, right? So my question to you would be, in terms of capacity and capabilities, right? How do you see the key takeaways that Odisha or your office is taking now to ensure that citizens, at least to start with, are definitely protected? Of course, looking at the overall perspective of state as well.
Coming to the Odisha perspective, if you see, today we have around, out of the 4.5 crore population in Odisha, almost 30% we have internet penetration, and the mobile subscriber base is active mobile connections are around 3.3 crores. So that shows the level of threat or the level of problem that we can have. So from the law enforcement perspective, what we do is we have made a three-pronged strategy. One is basically, if you see the crime happens like, one is against the individual. The individual is targeted, bullied, defamed, that kind of crime. And the other is the financial cyber crimes. The third is against the organizations, the government organizations or the private organizations. So because we are starting from the scratch, like slowly the state is building up. So we are following a three-pronged strategy. One is we'll be legally combating it. Like we do investigation, we take down contents, we block the URLs. This is on one side, that legally then we do carry out arrest, we prosecute people, we get conviction. This is on one side. The second side, what we do is we are trying to create awareness. And on behalf of Odisha government and Odisha police, we'll be launching a very mass social campaign against this cyber crime to create awareness among the society very soon after the monsoon is over this year. So the third is building up our capability in cybersecurity and capacity building, where we'll be able to handle these threats. So as we are progressing through this path, we have built up police stations in the major cybercrime police stations, which are specifically meant to investigate cybercrime and also economic offenses in 15 of our districts. Another 15 is in the pipeline. And we have one in our the main cyber police station, which is with the crime branch, which of which I am part. So that is the infrastructure part. When it's a organizational level, we have that kind of preparedness. Next is we have a lot of trained manpower in cyber. They are currently doing that legal side where we are combating cybercrime. And we have technically qualified people. We have identified quite a lot of engineers who have joined us in the last couple of years. Now we are trying to put them into cyber and further strengthen our capability. Another is we are buying new tools, new software. We are taking the help of those companies and we are trying to better train our people. And as a process, we are also building up our own training mechanism, which will particularly cater to the needs of our department. Not that somebody comes to us with a particular topic or a syllabus and they train us. No, we are doing the reverse way. This is what we want and please do train us. The major development that will be coming in the next few months will be that we will be having an independent, full-fledged cybercrime wing, and along with that, we'll have a public-private partnership platform, which will be in the form of a society, where we will be collaborating with the IT industry, the IT-enabled services, the banking industry, the academia, the research organizations, and even individual cyber professionals who are ready to collaborate with us and help in the cause of cybersecurity. And this will be a full-fledged one. The government is already working on that. We are all working on that. And in that, we will be having, one is this typical cybercrime wing, which will be of the investigators and the police department. And the other will be, it will be a platform where we collaborate with the IT industry, and also we have certain cyber resource centers which will be totally outsourced to the IT industry or whoever is capable to run that. Because you also appreciate that a lot of our officers, when they join service, there was no IT Act. Some of them never got trained in the basic training for IT Act. So we need the support of the industry. If some of my friends over here from the IT industry in Odisha, they know that we have already started tying up with the IT industry in Odisha, also the banking industry. We have had talks. We are on the process of building up at an institutional level. So this is in the coming days.
Super.
And I'm pretty hopeful that we in coming days, we'll be able to better take care of it. People who know about Odisha, we had a very different kind of an economic situation 2-3 decades back. We had natural disasters. We had the LW issues or the, Naxalite problems. Odisha has fought each and every problem by devising its own strategy, and Odisha has been, let me tell you very proudly that Odisha has been successful in combating each of these problems.
Absolutely.
So in this also we assure you that as a state, Odisha will fight this. We will prepare ourselves in our own way, in a sustainable manner, where we will think globally, but we will act locally.
Thank you, Safin Bhai. Only thing I would want to give and leave away with you is that on behalf of all the industry, including my friend, don't go on a L1 kind of a stuff. Don't go on L1.
No. Please. We are aware of the
because
dangers.
now we cannot give anything on L1.
We'll keep quality specifications so that it will be a quality one.
Thank you, sir. Sanjay sir, you've been into managing West Bengal's cybersecurity, and with your wisdom and what you saw today, or the information that you gathered today, what you are doing, which can also add up to Odisha's journey towards becoming the next generation state.
First of all, since morning, I'm really overwhelmed after hearing all these developments. As a Bengali, I have been to Puri at least twice every year. I have been, for the last, say, 30 years of my service life, I have been coming to Puri regularly, and I have been witnessing the changes. So thanks greatly to the state government for that. And it's really an honor on my part to come and talk to you here, to the entire state government, their leadership and the industry and people at large. I'm honored to have my senior colleagues here sitting on the dais and given an opportunity. But to tell you what my fellow panelists have just outlined, West Bengal has been actually working upon this for the last 7 years. We came up with this Cybersecurity Center of Excellence in the year 2016. It became priority activity in 2017. So for the last 6 years, we have been pursuing this. So, for my fellow panelists from Odisha, I would like to say that our Center of Excellence is actually attending to all these verticals. Both of them have been talking to. The very first vertical is, awareness and skill building. The second is cyber assurance. That is, the entire public ICT is taken care of. That means it withstands the, efforts by hackers and intrusionists so that they are resilient enough to fight it back. So these two verticals actually take care of the activity pre-incident. If cyber intrusion is an incident, there are two verticals who take care of pre-incident. It is called cyber security risk reduction mechanism. So they are cyber security risk reduction approaches. Then there are two verticals specifically post intrusion. The first is incident response and mitigation. Under this, the first thing that kicks off is called CCMP, Cyber Crisis Management Plan. Our state came up with the Cyber Crisis Management Plan in the year 2017. And ours is the first completely automated and self-driven Cyber Crisis Management Plan. All the CII-led departments, they create their plan every year and continue drill on that. Then the next part of that is called Security Operations Center. I have just been to the wonderfully, one of the best Security Operations Center in the country. Mr. Patnaik was kind enough to allow me during the lunch break. I went to the Security Operations Center that they have come up with. It is an outstanding one. Whosoever has made it, outstanding, great, hats off to them. So I have been so lucky to see. And by the way, we have one of ours. And so we'll be actually go back and take the best practices out of this and utilize there. So it is fully functional. Not only we take care of the SWAN, that is a statewide area network, the SDC, all the small data centers like police, every police organization like CID, the state police, the academies, they are, this municipal corporation, the commissionerates, they all have small data centers of their own. And those are also covered under our SOC. Our SOC is gearing up for a revamp. Ours is the first state to build a cyber forensic lab exclusively for the police. We made a cyber security and forensic lab for the police and handed it over in the year 2020. It is working fine. So we are coming up with the next center, cyber security forensic lab and device certification center, the first of its kind in the entire eastern region. There is no device security certification lab. It is under process. So the forensic lab will cater to the industry as well as the non-police activities where they are required. And the fourth vertical, that means the second vertical post-intrusion, is cyber crime incident response investigation and forensic. For that, we have trained more than 3,100 police officials to date. So on that issue, I would request my senior colleague here, sitting here, Mr. Patnaik, and the IG Sahab. So I would request them that you can, just take our materials. It is already, certified by Government of India CERT-in. We have fully functional state CERT. And I have come to know that the Odisha is also preparing to have one CERT. So we have a fully functional state CERT working since 2020. And Maharashtra government is setting up a CERT based on our model. So it is actually attending to all cyber incidents happening across the industry as well as in the government sector. So these are the four verticals, and the one horizontally is research and development. We are the vetting agency for the West Bengal University of Technology. All cybersecurity courses are vetted by Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. We created the first diploma level cybersecurity course in the country, which
Sir,
has
I'll come to that question,
Yes.
and a repeat question
So,
on the
yeah,
capability building.
These are the activities, and in case of numbers, we do it in scale. So I'm not going into details. These are the 5 things we have done,
Very nice.
and they are also in the same direction. We can collaborate whenever they want.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So, in almost, sir, this question is for Commodore Saab and Madam Snigdha Madam. From 2 perspectives. One is definitely you are on the other side, and then you're leading you're part of a company. And Snigdha Madam, because you lead the app security part of it in Odisha. More importantly, the question lies that when any fraud happens is on a weakness of an application, or somewhere there is a loophole which is not corrected. So my first question, Commodore Saab, to you, is from a cyber security as a design. What's your thoughts? Are we really looking from that perspective? Including that we are now looking at cyber as an investment rather than a cost to ROI mindset. Just briefly in 2 minutes, sir. Because I have always seen that the challenge is that all organizations, at the CXO level, always find this a difficult.
First of all, thank you, ET government, and the administration of this organization who has been kind enough to invite an ex-Fauji to this. In fact, 34 years out of 34 years, I have worked in communication, IT and cyber. And at least last 15 years in cyber. So I have seen the growth of cyber from the other side and the growth of attacks on our assets, our critical infrastructure from being a part of armed forces. The COVID has propelled us to think this concept that security by design. In fact, all this while we were thinking, okay, the developer will develop something, he will put it onto production network, production will test and then push it out, and then that job of the developer is gone. But today the concept is secure by design. That means right from the time when the requirements are being worked out, the designer has to call in the security experts and collaborate and design the application in such a way that even if the attacker attacks, it can withstand the attacks. This is one. Second part is, because of the agility, bringing agile technology, this is not possible. So now you have to have DevSecOps. So that means security, development and operations all have to work together so that we achieve the synergy in such a way that even if an attacker attacks the application, we can withstand and maybe we can achieve a degree of assurance that this attack will not be successful. Third thing is that segmentation approach. Even if we devise, our application is well written, but our network is not segmented, then we are allowing people to get into that web server, get into that mail server and attack us and cripple our network. So this, along with the newest concept, zero trust architecture. In fact, today this is a buzzword. Zero trust architecture is the buzzword. So why it is zero trust? That means most of the attackers, 70% of the attack that is happening today in the world across the networks is from insider. So if we always think the attacker will come from outside, but here in cybersecurity, there is no demarcation of the dimensions. Okay, that's why it's called the fifth domain of warfare. So in cybersecurity, there is no trust. Somebody is sitting within and can attack. Somebody is coming from outside, like China, okay, our neighbors. So we being Fauji, China, Pakistan, they are our biggest offenders for us. Okay, so we have to build in a zero trust architecture. So if we don't think on those lines, we'll continue to get attacked and we'll continue to get compromised. UPSRT lost 45, the ransomware attack that happened on UPSRT e-ticketing system on 13th of April this month, last month, they were asking for 45 crores, but we didn't pay, that's okay, but we lost so much of revenue because of this attack. So that's why we have to design our application, make it robust, follow a process, that security check-ins. Most of the, when I was in armed forces, when we look at the government websites, these are now outsourced by NIC to some auditors who do a VAPT, but even after their VAPT, we have carried out some analysis, we have done some VAPT, there are lot many vulnerabilities available still. So just outsourcing your job to somebody whose credentials have not been verified properly also lead to attacks onto your website. So we have to rethink our design process, our selection process of vendors, and to ensure that security is implemented at any cost in our design process, thinking process.
Thank you very
That's
much,
what
sir.
I wanted
Thank
to
you
say.
very much.
Thank you.
Snigdha ma'am, since you lead the COE also for app security, and I think your dependency is more on outside vendors to supply applications. Of course, internally also you do. What measures that you take in terms of design thinking from security?
Thanks for giving me this opportunity on this forum.
Madam, Mike.
I must thank for giving this opportunity on this forum. When we speak cybersecurity, it might be broken into different folks, specialization, I would say. Let us say the thing that sir was mentioning, that segmentation, that's a basic thing that would have been addressed before we talk about application security. Like the network segmentation and the restructuring, all that should have been completed by the time we talk about applications. So let us say all those things have been addressed. So basically you've got the perimeter security, you've got your LAN segmented, everything, you've got the protected zones, the data center has got the web servers in protected zone, all the traffic is allowed to come in through the firewall on port 80. So port 80 is open. So all the traffic that is entering that system is being allowed in. That may be junk traffic, that might be genuine traffic. Okay, so when you are talking, when a user is talking to your system, he's interacting with those interfaces that is presented by the system, by that application, which is served by that web server running on port 80. Okay, so that means the controls that are in place for allowing identified traffic in are serving their purpose till certain things. That means they will not allow traffic in port XYZ, whatever, whichever port you say. Okay. So it will not allow untoward traffic into the organization except 80 or 443. So that control serves that purpose fine. But what next? Let us say that the experience that a citizen has with the interface that your system presents. You've architected a information system or a web applications. The users are interacting with that system. So whatever they are interacting with is going as a traffic to the backend systems. So maybe he's a novice user, so he'll work by design. But what if he's a smart user who's little curious, or maybe he's a hacker? He will try to do things which the system is not designed to handle. Okay, so the exception case comes here.
Understood.
So for that, we need to have security built in from the start itself into the application lifecycle. In fact, we as a Center of Excellence for Application Security, we do tests from static code analysis, that is source code analysis,
Right.
to tool-based automated black box testing, to manual audit, to see if the application is allowing anything which can be exploited by an attacker.
Understood.
So the applications are subjected to security audit only, and it goes through an iterative process, and all the reported vulnerabilities are closed, mitigated by the developer.
Right.
Only when all the vulnerabilities are closed, the site is made to be allowed to be made online on the production environment, the cloud environment.
Understood.
That story doesn't stop there. let us say a site has been audited and secured safe and made online on the production servers. The developers are in close, having some pressure, they might have put in some more modules onto the production, server, so which might not have been tested. They've satisfied the security audit requirements as per policy, compliance is done. But after that, once it is online, they might have put additional pages there, which might be vulnerable, so which will take down the security posture of that site or that interface or that system. So for that, that has to be security tested. So which we do through VAPT, penetration testing, to find out if there are any exposures which can be exploited. So we raise reports or tickets to the developers for mitigation purpose. So it is a secured site which is allowed to be kept live. And this is a periodic process. Like every quarter or every 6 months, we have to do this testing so that they're secured.
Thank you,
To
ma'am.
answer your question, you
Understood.
about by design and by
Yes.
VAPT. So that, by this exercise itself, security assessment, risk assessment is factored in. So it is not either or. It has to be
It
done.
has to be by default.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I'll quickly, I have lot many questions to both of you, but Sanjeev, you come from a organization which has evolved over the period of time for providing cloud-based solutions and services. Just in 2 minutes, you see time is already moving out. I have few more questions for sir to give answer to the audience today. Can you just quickly tell about what's that you doing for states and how it really helps them to?
So first of all, I would just like to take a very small, this to say that I was really overwhelmed by the development which is happening in the state. And obviously when we talk about development, we are talking about citizen services, we are talking about digitization. So like a lot of our panelists also mentioned, which also means that we are increasing our attack surface. So there is a lot of attack surface improvement. And that is also the reason why we are seeing a lot of cyber attacks happening in the country over the last 2 to 3 years. Right? So the attacks which are happening in the country is more than the global average, what we have seen in any other country today. That is because we have been a little lax when it comes to security. We always thought it will happen to America, it will happen to Russia, it will never happen to India, because we were never so advanced. We were never digitized so much. But now that's not the case. So we have to evolve, we have to ensure our security is as good as any other country. And security is not a one-way or a quick panacea. You will need to go through the complete cycle.
Understood.
Everything from assessment to audits and somebody did mention that we don't want to outsource security to somebody who is not capable. And that's where the criteria needs to define the capability, who understands applications, who understands the ecosystems, because finally security is about securing various ecosystem
Absolutely.
related
Safin sir mentioned that they are now looking for PPP model where they want to really give away some part of the work to outside company who will take and manage the entire deliverables to them. Manoj sir, one last question in terms of now that you have infrastructure in place, including data center, including security operating center, and of course you also have a network, statewide area network. It's a fantastic infrastructure that you already have. We are also thinking from a line that can we expand this to the industry? That is, Odisha, there is a lot of many industries. Can we expand this as a services to have people come, put their data on your data centers, or provide security operating services through your SOC as a separate offering for the industry which may not be able to put their own SOC, or I would rather say a security measure in place?
So that is the current thought process for monetizing our CSOC. And
It is already
in
the
fact,
process?
we are engaged with some industry experts about this. That is the current thought.
You already doing that?
Yes.
Superb. So I'm sure as an organization, you will publicize that more so that people can accommodate more people in there. Just 2 minutes more. Safin sir, last question to you in terms of, we heard the previous session of LinkedIn, and we understood that there is a shortage of people, real bad, as it is applicable to cyber also, right? What is your view on that?
See, if you see, there is no death of laws in this country. There's no death
Just bring it closer to you.
Yeah, there's no death of laws, there is no death of guidelines. What we need is more manpower to implement these laws, carry it out in the right perspective. For a small example, I'll say, if you see the IT Act of 2000, which has been amended, still then investigating officer is an inspector. But how many inspectors does we have in the entire country to take care of the level of cybercrime that is happening in the country? If you see in police, if you bring it down to the scale of a sub-inspector, he's a young guy who is entering. Many technical guys are coming now. And we have a greater manpower to respond to these situations, investigate it, and bring the perpetrator to the book of law. So that is where, like, we have this limitation everywhere. So certain things under CRPC, it can be done only by police. Certain things we can outsource. So we are thinking on concentrating on where we have to do it mandatorily and bring in the collaboration with industry and with trained people so that we can handle the entire cyber crime management ecosystem in a much better way to the satisfaction of the public. Because we are aiming at a situation where somebody calls us into our call center 1930, we should be able to give that person a satisfactory service. Ultimately, we are all striving to reach that level where we have public satisfaction. The public means the industry satisfaction also. Somebody gives an individual complaint, then that has to be taken care. If it comes from an organization, we have to take care of the organization's complaint. So it's a evolving process.
Right.
We are on it, and we are hopeful that we'll do it.
Right. Thank you, eminent members. Before we close, any questions from the audience? Because I'm sure we can take one or two max. Can you give that mic to gentleman there? Sir, please.
Since you brought out this issue of sharing the infrastructure of CSOC of Odisha government to other sectors, private sector, maybe industry. A big caution has to be applied here is government CSOC should not provide services to private CSOC. If government wants, they can separately establish one CSOC for all private industries.
So that's the interest. That's the interest. I'm not saying that you
not using the
no
same
shared
service.
resources.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
that
no,
point.
no shared resources. I'm saying you have capabilities. You
Yes.
can have a
Yes,
virtual.
we can build up that capability
Understood,
separately and provide this to all MSMEs
Absolutely, sir.
and
Absolutely.
other industries. Thank you.
Right. So they have capabilities. In fact, they have SMEs in place. They have infrastructure in place. They can definitely create something more which can lead to providing services. Yeah, there was a question. All right, so I think we are off the time, and I think, sir, gentlemen, if you have a question for me, you can meet me outside and I can answer. Acha, madam. You can meet her after this when she just steps down, if you don't mind.
My query to madam is, what is your plan of actions for mobile application auditing? Because that is a very crucial plan. Primarily we regulate, but in our organization, possibly in other organizations.
We are doing mobile applications auditing also. Yeah, we are doing mobile application auditing. We take up the assessment of the apps as well as the backend APIs. As an integrated application, we test the app also and the API also, both SCA and BBA and manual audit. So we get all those issues that are reported for mitigations. We have been doing that.
Sure, sir.
I have brought some things for the, my colleagues from the government of Odisha. There are some materials that we publish from our Center of Excellence. I would like to give to the IG Cyber Odisha and the MD. Okay, thank you.
That was a nice gesture, Sanjay sir. Thank you, friends. My name is Digvijay Chudasama. I'm a cyber partner and risk advisory services at Deloitte. Anybody has any question, queries, I will be available after this session outside. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity. And thank you, eminent panel.